Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speeder, and today we're going to be doing a draft analysis between Shopify Rebellion and Blacklist Rivalry. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and if you don't know what this is, basically we're going to be looking at every single pick in this Captain's Mode game and kind of breaking down why I do and do not like the picks, and yeah, kind of talk about how it impacted the outcome of the game. For a little bit of perspective, this was Game 2 of Shopify versus Blacklist. Blacklist won Game 1, and this is an hour-long match that Shopify pulled out in the end. Honestly, it was a pretty passive game for an hour-long game, 30 to 25, and I will say that Saberlight was the main shining star here. Let's talk about why the Lycan pick kind of held the draft together for Shopify and everything in between. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken and really take your game to the next level, I'm going to be able to help you, because sometimes the guides on YouTube, there's either not enough of them, they're not specific, or they're just tier lists, which I know you guys love, but at the end of the day, the Game League website is going to help you get to the next level. So click the link down below and sign up. So getting in with the first phase bans, we have Medusa Timbersaw and Morphling Enchantress. The Morphling Enchantress are first pick bans, so Blacklist is concerned about 6-7 Morphling Enchantress, which kind of means that they think that they don't have a good 8 pick for the response to Morphling, because when you have first pick, you get a response to the Morphling immediately. Some teams like Liquid have been going for Enchantress. I think Lycan is a decent response, but yeah, they just seem to not want to have to deal with that. On top of that, maybe they wanted the Timbersaw for themselves on 5 pick, which would make sense because a lot of teams don't like picking Timbersaw if the Morphling is left in. The reason why is Morphling will actually steal the stats of a universal hero, stealing 40% of the stats with the Aghanim Scepter, rendering them kind of useless. You also get the Aghanim Scepter reactive armor when you turn into Timbersaw if you have Ags. It's pretty broken. And then the other ban is Enchantress, which I guess they just don't like to play. It's definitely a fly hero and it's been a pretty meta pick throughout the tournament. And for the other side, the Medusa and Timbersaw bans, I would say, are a little bit less crazy, pretty standard. However, Medusa is definitely something to note, right? They clearly don't want a 5-pick Medusa out of the side of Blacklist. Maybe they're also concerned about the 8-pick Medusa. In specific, you see a Morphling ban right away, that immediately makes the Medusa a much better pick, because I would say Morphling is one of the best heroes against Dusa. At least some teams think that. Liquid actually picked Medusa in the Morphling, funny enough, as it can hit its Butterfly or Scotty timing before Morphling actually gets Ags, and that is an interesting take in a way in which to beat the hero, but nonetheless, let's move on ahead. The starting opener are pretty standard openers. We see a Techies, which is one of the most popular supports in Dota right now, just giving you a lot of Roche control, objective control, a good laning stage, burst damage, a stun. It kind of does it all, so Techies, a very solid first pick, nothing crazy there. We see a Pugna Storm come out from the side of Shopify Rebellion, and this is also pretty standard. Storm has very few bad laning matchups, and so it's gonna likely do well no matter what you put against it. And Pugna, being one of the most popular supports in the game, trades pretty well into Techies. Nether Ward is pretty good against Techies, and it most importantly buffs up the Storm Spirit, right? It's a hero that just gives Storm infinite mana, and so that combo is pretty good. From there, we see an Ember Spirit pick, which I personally don't like that much from Blacklist. I don't really see Ember as much of an answer to Storm or Pugna, and that might seem weird that I say that because Ember Spirit, slight chains against Storm is pretty good and a lot of magic damage against Pugna, but I personally feel that Ember has a hard time killing Pugna, even though, it's weird that I say that, right? Because you can break Life Drain with Sleight of Fist or Remnant, which means that you have a pretty easy way of getting around the Pugna. But I just feel like it's a little bit too easy to prevent Ember from doing that unless he really is having a good game. And so I often don't like this as a response. However, I do understand the logic. It is a hero that can potentially solo kill the Pugna, and it lanes pretty well into Storm. It's also a decent combo with Techies, as you have Slight Chains into a bunch of nukes. From there, in terms of the bans, Shopify Rebellion bans out Silencer, Tidehunter, and Visage. I would say only the Silencer makes a ton of sense to me, and the reason why I say that is Silencer, Global Silence against Pugna Storm, is very valuable. Anytime mid-team fight Pugna is trying to heal the Storm Spirit and give him mana, you can click Global Silence and just cancel it out. Also, at any time Storm zips in, you can silence him and kill him. The Tidehunter and Visage picks are somewhat peculiar, only because I don't think Pugna is that bad against Tidehunter. You have a good amount of magic damage, damage, and you also can harass him reasonably well in the laning stage. However, maybe they think that this isn't the case. Maybe they think that the Kraken Shell plus Gush is good enough to actually deal with the Pugna early on with the help of the Techies. This is a pretty popular combo right now, which is like picking Techies plus Ember, or Techies plus a high tempo mid, and then picking Tidehunter. The Tidehunter is going to give you a good laning stage against most heroes with Techies. It can lane in almost anything. At least that's what I've seen, like truly anything. Even Monkey King, it can do fine. So yeah, maybe they just think it's good for that. On top of that, I will say I've seen in team fights, because of Pugna's bad cast range, especially if he's position 5 with no Aether Lens, he will more often than not get hit by a Ravage, and it's often easy to kill him once that has happened. And then Visage. I guess this is just another pipe buyer that doesn't die to Storm Zip. These might partially be just target bans. I think part of it also has to do with the game plan. When you have like a Tidehunter and a Visage, these heroes can take very aggressive farm and can frontline for you against Storm Spirit. In terms of the bans for Blacklist, they ban out Brood, Enigma, and Undying. These 3 bans are all pretty popular heroes for Shopify. They definitely like the Undying for Fly. It's a pretty good hero with this Pugna Storm in general, because if you ever want to take Roshan, you drop down Netherward and Tombstone and you just control an area. And you don't necessarily need a support with control, because you already have Storm Spirit, and that hero is one of the best control heroes in the game, providing slows and of course a hard stun at any range you truly want with Pugna. And then from there, honestly, the Brood and Enigma bans, I don't know if they exactly target anything, because like Techies and Ember are fine against these 2 heroes. Like I don't look at Techies and Ember and say, oh, it's bad against Brood and Enigma. I think really the main reason they're banning Brood and Enigma is Brood and Enigma are these high damage heroes that enable you to take towers and take Roche, and they really like having this like team fight plus control in the Pugna and Storm. Like there's a lot of synergy, right? Because Enigma and Brood want heroes to go in first, right? They don't want to be the guy to lead. Sometimes Brood can be, but generally they want someone else to lead, and they want to buy Auras, which like very much enable this Pugna Storm. It makes it very hard for Ember to kill Pugna or Storm if they have a pipe. And I think if they were to pick Brood or Enigma, they would likely buy pipe. Not a guarantee, as a lot of Enigmas are now buying Helm too, but either way, let's move on. So the pick from Shopify Rebellion is a Lion, which actually I very much don't like. And the reason why I don't like it that much is I find that Lion struggles in a lot of lanes. I don't think Blacklist actually punishes it, and maybe that's because a lot of the 5s that would bully Lion are sort of out of the pool. For instance, I think Lion into Enchantress is like reasonably unplayable. It's just too much harass, and once Ench gets to creep, Lion can't lane at all. Also, something even like Undying just really makes it hard for Lion to live, because the issue with Lion is his armor, right? And his movement speed isn't great either. So he just dies. He's a wet noodle, very much like Crystal Maiden, but with a weaker level 2 spike. Yes, he's a lot of control at level 2, but like compared to Crystal Maiden, it's nothing. And so, yeah, I don't like Lion for that reason. However, it does obviously catch Ember Spirit. You know what I mean? It can cancel the blast off midair, so you have that going for you in the laning stage, right? And you can catch Ember with Hex. On top of that, it does give you the ability to deal with any sort of shenanigans that they might pick on second phase. For instance, Brewmaster. You have the ability to kill Brewmaster now from full HP before he gets off Primal Split. But once again, I don't like Lion that much, only because I do feel that it does enable for heroes like Brewmaster to kind of come in and be a real threat. And I think that's also part of the reason Shopify banned out this Visage and this Tidehunter. I think they probably knew they wanted to pick Lion, and you don't like playing Lion against Visage or Tide because the heroes can function even while stunned, right? Tide just gets rid of it, and Visage has birds to drop and protect himself. So it's, I think that's probably a big reason they banned those heroes as well. They were probably premeditating the Lion pick. Then after that, they go for the Brew and Rubik, which, as I said, I like the Brew because it can kill Pugna, it can dispel Decrepify, right? It can solo kill Pugna, it can solo kill Lion. I wouldn't say it's necessarily good against Storm. In fact, I think it's probably actually bad against Storm, but, you know, they're not relying on Brew to deal with Storm. They're picking Brew for the other 2 heroes. At least that's what I imagine. It's a nice hero as well because it plays an incredible tempo with Ember and Techies, and I think that's a big reason why they picked Rubik as well. You're basically saying, let's pick a bunch of mid-game nukes, Cinder Brew, Thunderclap, Sticky Bomb, Sleight of Fist, Proximity Mine, Blast Off, Fade Bolt, whatever Rubik steals. You have a ton of flat damage nukes, and these flat damage nukes are going to allow you to play a strong mid game. And I think that's what they're aiming for, a strong mid game and then a hyper carry. At least that's my guess. A lot of teams like this 4 Protect 1 where they pick a ton of nukes. Often the downside of this is that Rubik isn't that good of a laner, especially as a position 5. And so you do have a bit of an issue there. You don't really have a save support unless Rubik gets Shard, which is only sometimes good. It's not one of the best saves in the game. And then from there, they pick up the Juggernaut, which is fine. It's a hero that doesn't really die to these heroes. You know what I mean? It can spin TP away from Primal Split once Brew hits 6. It doesn't die to Ember, right? Healing Word is very good against Ember and his Slight Spam. It can live against Techies. It can heal up people that get hit by Techies bombs if you're trying to invade the Roche Pit. It's good. It's a solid jug pick, and it kills Brew in the lane. Like, it's a hero that can naturally run down and chase Brew with the help of a Pugna or a Lion just chipping them down. So it's a solid jug pick. I'm not a huge jug fan, but, you know, I see the line. It doesn't die. It's reasonably easy to click Omni Slash against these heroes. You can click it against Techies, Brew, Rubik. You can even click it if you have Battle Fury against Primal Split sometimes and, like, chop them up. It's not, like, the best, but it can be okay. And in terms of the Rubik, I think this is them just having a bit more control against the Storm, right? A nice instant stun. And being able to steal Lion spells is absolutely incredible. Like, stealing Hex on Rubik is very scary because it's this incredibly long-range Hex that lasts forever. And for our final bans, we see a TB and TA pick. This is to protect the Juggernaut primarily. You don't really want to play against, as Jug, these heroes that can kill you through spin. It makes the game very, very hard to play. It's also heroes that can kind of deal with Omni Slash. Like, TA can unironically blink out of Omni Slash if played correctly, or depending on the scenario, she can live. It's also a good TA game, and the TB is just a hero that it generally doesn't care about Omni Slash and kills him through spin when meta. So, and yeah, Blacklist is going to wrap up the draft with a last pick, I believe, Faceless Void. And my only really issue with Faceless Void is the fact that it's very much not good against Lycan. Lycan is a hero that beats Void in lane, and Lycan can't really do that against most heroes, but it does beat Void in lane. Once it gets its Helm of Iron Will, it out-sustains the Void, it out-trades the Void. The Wolves and Lycan's damage is very much over time, and so the Void can't easily time walk it, and you can kick the Void out of lane extremely easily with your Helm of the Dominator timing. There's nothing that really kills the creep on the side of Blacklist. Maybe Brew Split, I guess, is a decent response to the Lycan Shapeshift. I actually don't know if Brew Dispel kills the Lycan Summon or not. I really don't know. I'm pretty sure it does, which maybe makes that an interesting pick. They pick up the Lycan here, and as I said, I find this to be an incredible Lycan game. The Wave Shove is really, really nice. It can stat out the Techies bombs if you're trying to invade the Roche Pit. It can push out the lanes against Chronosphere in the late game, right? Because in the late game, you have to be very careful, right? A hero like Juggernaut cannot clear waves for your team. Of course not, right? If he runs down the lane, he's going to get chronoed and die in the late game. Likely. To be fair, their follow-up on Chrono isn't that great, right? Like, what do they really have? Techies, that's it. And so maybe the Jug lives, but you get the point. It gives you the ability to ghost push waves or push waves without showing a hero, and that's incredibly powerful against heroes like Void in the late game, because the less you have to show, the less likely he is to get off a good Chrono, getting a key kill on whatever core he wants. And yeah, Storm doesn't fulfill that job, Jug does not fulfill that Jug, Lion does not fulfill that Jug, nor does Pugna, and so having a hero that can allow you to clear waves and give vision is incredibly good, especially with the likes of Storm Spirit, right? Storm Spirit plus Shapeshift is incredible, because Lycan's downside is people run away from you, and sometimes they TP away from you. And Storm is one of the best heroes at preventing that. And so I actually really like this last pick from Shopify. To some extent, I'm actually surprised they banned out Beast instead of Lycan. I do think Beast is an incredible hero as well, and it is good against Void with the Boar bill, but yeah, this is a great Lycan game. So nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy these draft analysis videos, please smash that like button and comment down below that you enjoy the videos. It does help out the video and makes me more inclined to make these more in the future. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. And by the way, last thing I'd like to mention for all of you who are still watching is these types of videos are something I love making on the website. I just don't make them as much on YouTube. And so if you enjoy this content, I actually, and you're not subbed to the website, I highly suggest you sub to the website, because I make these frequently on the website. And I'm not just saying that, like frequently. I'm pretty sure I've made 3 or 4 in the last 2 weeks. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.